And the interesting thing is that our mind, brain, well, it's constantly trying to make sense of our experiences in real time. So while we're actually having new experiences, our mind or brain is working pretty hard to make sense of all those. However, the time when our mind or brain is the most active at trying to work out this psychological digestive process, work out where things belong, what needs to be thrown out, what's useful, etc., is, believe it or not, while we're asleep. So while we're asleep, it's the only real downtime that our mind/brain has got. It's the only time that we're not being continually bombarded by new experiences. So what that creates is the opportunity for our mind or brain to be able to work through this stuff. When we go to sleep, our brainwave activity goes through a very regular pattern. And it goes through initially 4 stages. So when we first go to sleep, we're in stage 1 of sleep, and there's still a fair bit of brainwave activity going on. We go deeper into stage 2, the amount of brainwave activity slows down, deeper again into stages 3, and then to the deeper stage of sleep there is stage 4, where not a whole lot's happening in the brain. It appears that the deep stage of stage 3 and 4 sleep is when our brain is, not our brain, but our body is basically doing the physical recovery work. So our immune system is being topped up, and it's like our batteries are being recharged. After a while in stage 4, we enter a stage of sleep called rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep. And there's actually a whole lot going on in the brain while we're in a stage of REM sleep. So while we're dreaming, and often the brain can be a lot more active while we're dreaming in a stage of REM sleep than when we're actually awake. So it's a highly active stage of sleep. We stay in this stage of REM sleep for a short time, and then we cycle back through stages 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, where we again hit another patch of REM sleep. We start dreaming again. If we get a normal undisturbed night's sleep, we'll cycle like this through stages 1, 2, 3, 4, then into REM, and then back through stages 1 to 4 and back into REM again, around 5 to 8 times every night. And every time we're in a stage of REM sleep, the amount of time that we spend in that stage gets longer. So it starts off being relatively small at the beginning of the night. Towards the early morning, the stage of REM sleep is really quite lengthy. If we added up all the minutes of REM sleep that we get across the course of a night, it adds, in a normal night's sleep, it adds up to being something like 2 to 3 hours of sleep. And all the rest is non-REM sleep, or stages 1 through to 4 sleep. Now, researchers in sleep laboratories have done a lot of experimentation in the last 40, 50 years. And a typical piece of research that they'll do is they'll get a bunch of subjects, volunteers, into their laboratory, and these people are wired up to EEG machines, so they're measuring their brainwave activities. They might be in there for a week. And with one group of people, and basically they have nothing to do other than just lie around, read books and sleep. With one group of people, every time that they start to enter a stage of REM sleep when they're dreaming, the researchers will wake them up. So these people can get all the non-REM sleep that they need undisturbed, but every time they start to dream they'll be woken up. And over the course of the week they become progressively more and more REM deprived. They may still get 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, but none of it's going to be dream sleep. Now, at the same time as they're running these, as they're waking these people up over the course of the week while they're dreaming, they're also running them through a range of experiments. So some of the experiments are learning experiments. They'll give them a list of foreign words to learn and come back the next day and see what they can remember. They'll give them maths puzzles to solve or problem-solving experiments to participate in. And the observation is that the longer people go without being able to dream, the more they lose their ability to undertake these mental functions. So they lose the ability to learn and integrate new information. They lose the ability to access pre-existing information sets like knowledge about how to do maths puzzles. They also lose the ability to successfully problem solve. And the other observation is that the longer these people go with being REM deprived, the more emotionally unstable they become as well. So by the end of the week, they're really quite angry, and hostile and often quite paranoid. They become quite ratty emotionally. If these people are then allowed to catch up on REM sleep over the next few days, their mental functioning, their cognitive skills and their emotional stability tends to return. With another group of participants in the research, volunteers, they'll let them get all the REM sleep they need for a whole week. But every time they're in a stage of non-REM sleep, stages 1 through to 4, they'll wake them up. So these people may only get 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night, but it's all REM sleep in which they're dreaming. Now these people will obviously become very tired. They're just simply not getting enough sleep, and because they're missing out on the stages 1, 2, 3 and 4 of sleep, their body's not getting the chance to do the recharging of the batteries. So they get tired and they get sick of being woken up. But when they run these people through the same kind of learning experiments and maths puzzles and problem solving experiments, they find that these people don't lose their cognitive skills to the same degree as the REM deprived people do. Also, they tend to not lose their emotional stability. They get sick of being woken up, they get tired, but they tend to remain emotionally stable, and they retain their ability to learn new information and access pre-existing cognitive skills. Now, the conclusion that researchers have come from this kind of research is that it seems that while we're dreaming, our mind or brain is basically doing that psychological digestive processing that I mentioned earlier. People that are into computers will see the analogy between this and the term defragging, where I'm not a computer buff, but apparently defragging involves taking off the computer all the unnecessary or useless bits of junk that are basically slowing down the system. So you can think of dreaming as being a time when our mind/brain is doing that psychological digestive process, or it's defragging itself. And the dream itself seems to be the vehicle that allows the mind or brain to be able to do this.